Hello and welcome to the 75th episode of the Accountant Success Secrets podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Mark Lee. I'm a mentor, speaker and debunker.
And I'm Philippa Haynes, a branding expert for accountants and bookkeepers, supporting you to stand out.
Each week on the podcast, we showcase another experienced accountant or bookkeeper who we think can inspire and encourage other accountants and bookkeepers in practice.
Yeah, we both recognise that every accountant and bookkeeper is unique and distinct. They have different backgrounds, experiences, and reasons for starting and building their practices.
So we ask them to share their stories, including the highs, the lows, and what they've learned along the way. We're looking to explore what makes them different in terms of their background, their successes, their failures, and their focus.
Yep, and our aim is to provide some fundamental insights for others like you, our loyal listener.
And if you'd like to share your story in a similar way, do please get in touch with Philippa or me. We're now booking guests for December, which is quite crazy. And before I pass over to you, Philippa, I must wish you a very happy birthday, special birthday.
Thank you very much.
So, well, all birthdays are special. All birthdays are special. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly. It's no more special than last year's, for anybody who's wondering. So today, as well as it being my birthday, it's our 61st interview, and we're delighted to introduce Andrew Coombs, who joined his father's general accountancy practice, Kings Oak Accountancy, and then took over the practice initially and unofficially, and then later formally as well. So it was a gradual process. He's now expanded to a team of 5, mostly working part-time, with their hours increasing over time, and we'll find out more about that because that's interesting. More recently, Andrew was identified as Rising Professional of the Year 2025 by the Institute of Financial Accountants, which is amazing. Andrew originally qualified with the ACCA, but his background is not so much in accountancy, but in financial services. So quite different to most of our previous interviewees.
Indeed. Welcome, Andrew. I hope we got all that right. Would you like to add anything before we get into the interview?
Hi, Philippa and Mark. Happy birthday, Philippa.
Thank you.
I think that's a pretty good summary to get going. I'm sure we'll dive into more detail as the interview goes on.
We certainly will. We certainly will. Right, before we start, we must thank the sponsor of our podcast, Pinnacle Global Group, the trusted offshoring partner to over 150 accounting and bookkeeping firms across the UK and Ireland, led by London-based chartered accountant Mayank Pandya. There are offices in London and Mumbai with a team of over 300 professionals. Pinnacle does provide compliance resourcing, so accountants, bookkeepers, payroll, admins to tax and audit associates, and also some value-added support, including management accountants, virtual finance controllers, financial analysts, and more. They're GDPR compliant, ISO certified, covered by professional indemnity insurance, and offer flexible models. So you can go full-time, part-time, or even pay as you go. You can even start with a trial period or join their sponsored trip to Mumbai to meet the team in person. So if that's interesting, find out more at www.pinnacleoss.co.uk or click the link wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Also supporting the podcast is the Tax Advice Network. Their website enables accountants to choose specific specialist tax advisors for general tax support or for help across any of over 100 areas of tax. It's free to use. You just pay the tax advisor that you choose after agreeing terms with them, whether for ad hoc advice or a regular tax clinic type support service. Go take a look at their website, which you can find at findataxadvisor.online or taxadvicenetwork.co.uk, where you can also register to get their weekly tax tips, which are written especially for general practitioner accountants.
Yeah. Just before we start the interview, you can now also subscribe to our podcast on the Patreon platform. This is where you can show your love and support for Accountant Success Secrets and also subscribe for exclusive Patreon-only extras.
You'll need to download the Patreon app, but once you've subscribed, you'll get the extra episodes via your normal podcast platform. You'll find details of what to do in our normal podcast notes and on the Accountant Success Secrets pages on Facebook and on LinkedIn.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, now back to our guest, Andrew. As you know, we like to keep the podcast to around 30 minutes, and we do that by focusing on a few key questions.
I will go first. Let's go right back to the start, Andrew. How and why did you come to move into your father's accountancy practice?
Yeah, so my background, as you said in the introduction, was financial services. I left school and went and worked for a pension administration company as an actuarial assistant back in
How
2007.
exciting.
Yes. My dad used to wind me up that it was the only job more boring than accountants.
Ooh.
But I'm not sure I agree with that anyway. But so that was my introduction to working life after sixth form, and the aim was to go on there for earn a bit of money and then go on a gap year before looking at other options, either apprenticeship or university. And then 10 years later, I was still there. I did eventually go traveling for a little bit, and then I moved over to Smith & Williamson with a view of becoming a financial advisor. And then simultaneously, my dad was looking at succession planning on his small practice. He was looking to retire. At the same time, I got offered a trainee partner role with Smith & Williamson. And I've just found out that my wife was pregnant with our first child as well. So I made a decision to join the practice. The main reason at the time was basically to be closer to family. There's going to be a lot of traveling involved with the Smith & Williamson partner role. So that was the main underlying reason is the work-life balance. So came on board in 2018 full time, and then grew the practice from the outset. Really, that extra body in the business freed up my dad from, because he was a sole practitioner, no staff. He never wanted to get too big. He got made redundant from a management accountant position back in 2009, and just wanted some income to see him to retirement. So we had very different views on the practice in terms of growth when I came on board. But he was very good at basically letting me take the reins with technology changes and bringing in proposal software. I mean, he used a very good desktop package at the time, which worked really well for clients. But sort of back in 2018, the cloud was really starting to take off, and that's where I invested quite a bit of time in developing the software we were using in the business.
And did your father give you sort of hands-on coaching in, what a general accountancy practice did and how to engage with the clients, or did you just pick it up as you went along?
Yeah, so I was quite customer facing in previous roles anyway, dealing with clients directly. So I guess those key skills can be transitioned over to any role. The accountancy knowledge was probably the thing that he helped me with most. And then, of course, doing the ACCA qualification bolstered that. So I was getting a wide breadth of exposure to the whole process in a small practice, from engagement to exit and everything in between, from the ground up. So I started payroll and bookkeeping, VAT returns, like a lot of apprenticeships would do, and then right the way up to year-end accounts and things a little bit more complicated like IHT and CGT a bit later down the line. So being a small practice, you sort of get exposure to absolutely everything, which I do like the variety.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got 5 people, haven't you? You said, I think. So, I mean, how's it all worked out then? And was it what you expected? Because, I mean, obviously, a few years down the line now, there's one thing to start and think you're going to go one way, but actually, life has different kind of ideas, doesn't it? And there are sort of turns and twists along the way. So is it what you expected? You've got 5 people now. How's it all coming along?
Yeah, I think when you run your own practice, you have a little bit of imposter syndrome. Should I be here doing that? Am I, like, the confidence is definitely a thing that is always in the back of your mind. Am I doing enough? I'm really pleased with how the business has grown, especially since my dad took a step back fully in 2023. We've doubled the the size of the business, which has allowed me to take on these staff. The things I really enjoy doing are the direct communication with clients and going to see them, and the marketing side of things, and helping them. And that was one of the key things that I enjoy in the business is the outcome. The compliance side of it is all well and good, but without having it is a core element to it, because if you haven't got those figures to navigate them through those financial situations and what their goals are, how you can achieve it, you can't do it without the compliance information. But the thing I really like is getting into the nitty gritty of what they're looking to achieve. And by having 5 staff now, I'm still the only person that does sort of the year-end sign-offs and the tax, and we've got a lady starting this week who's hopefully going to take me away from those bits so we can expand further and continue to grow, hopefully.
Yeah. And how are you growing then? What's the secret to your growth so far?
I think reputation's being built in the area. Winning the award with the IFA helped, getting into local press and things. But word of mouth and referrals is obviously a big one for most accountancy practices. But one of the other things that I've done is worked with business advisors that they don't deal with the accountancy side of things. So they've been referring us. We've built quite a good relationship with a couple of business advisors, which is something that we're looking to get into ourselves. But yeah, that referral process has worked pretty well. And we get quite a few calls now just from Google, building up our reviews. I don't spend anything on marketing at all, though. So it is all,
how dare you, sir?
not yet, anyway.
He doesn't need to. Sorry. That's the critical thing here, isn't it? If those referrals that you're getting and the business you're picking up is the type of business that you want, and it's something I addressed in my blog this week, is that a lot of accountants who say that they get all their business from referrals are not necessarily distinguishing whether they're the right referrals, the ones they would ideally want.
Yeah.
But assuming that they are, why invest in something that when in generating more that you wouldn't be able to handle? Sorry, Philippa, I understand. I think the business advisors that you're working with, it sounds like you found the right kind of people there, because a challenge for a lot of accountants going forwards are going to be those business advisors who've got the natural selling skills that you may well have picked up in your previous life. So they can pick up clients and they've got access to the same advisory software that accountants have access to the extent that they don't need to work alongside an accountant in the future in the way that they have done in the past. Far better, as you alluded to, if you can expand out to deliver business advice, building on all your other skills, because you've got the financial knowledge and training that they don't have, and that's really important. So it sounds like you found some good people there. Well done.
Yeah, that's working really well with the referrals from them. So hopefully that will continue. But as you said, the accountancy picture is changing, so it is something we want to get involved in more as the coaching business advisory type role, as well as the general compliance with technology changing. That will become, and is already becoming, more automated, and it will mean that the amount of fees we can charge will change as well for compliance as time goes on. So it's something we're looking at transitioning over to right now, actually.
Yeah. So what have you learned along the way then, sort of good and bad? I mean, we talk about mistakes in a bit, I suppose, but I mean, we were talking offline, weren't we, about how you've sort of recruited people to come onto the team, and it's kind of been gradual. So that, I mean, explain a little bit about that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, so initially, when my dad wanted to retire and step away from the business fully, there was more work than I could do on my own. So I needed to get somebody in fairly quickly. And one of our clients had a bookkeeper, and I approached her. She was doing a good job for that client, and she had scope to take on more work. So initially we recruited her on a freelance basis. She initially took all of our payroll on. So that was the thing that I wanted to remove from myself as quickly as possible, because it deprived me for sort of 2 weeks a month where I couldn't go on holiday and that kind of thing. So that was the first thing I wanted to take off of my desk. So she took all of the payroll on fairly quickly, and then that expanded into more bookkeeping. And then we took her on as an employee sort of simultaneously with another member of staff, and they both, so one was doing 15 hours and the other started with 10. And as the business expanded, we got more clients and we got bigger. They're now doing 25 and 30 hours respectively a week. So they grew with the business, and both of them have children and looking to get back into a career. And one of them is doing the ACCA apprenticeship and the other's going for their ICB qualifications. And alongside that development, we're able to give them more work as they progress in their studies as well. So that's worked really well.
Yeah.
Finding the right type of people was a bit of a challenge to start with. So it was more luck than judgment. The first lady, as in there was already that connection with an existing client, and that worked out well. And then the other lady that came on board with us, she was about the 6th person I think we tried. So there was a few unsuccessful stories where we did trials and they do fine to start with, and then because we're fully remote, so we don't have, although we've got office presence in Radstock Street in Somerset, they all work remotely from home. We catch up now and again face to face, but it's very much an online business. Most of our clients are from Somerset. It doesn't stop us meeting them, but we do have clients as far away as America, South Africa, and Holland. So
Goodness.
having the technology there with Zoom and Teams works really well, and that flexibility for them has basically helped them grow the number of hours they can take on. So we're a results only practice. We don't do timesheets, although they have sort of set hours per week at the moment. Long term, we're looking to change the way that we pay staff to a percentage of the money they bring into the business. So it really will be a results only practice then, as long as the work's done to a high enough standard that we're happy with and the client's happy with, then they've done their job. If it takes them 10 minutes to do a job that used to take 2 hours, that's fine by us. It doesn't matter, as long as it is done to the correct standard. And the full flexibilities worked really well with those 2 staff in particular, because they've got children, so they can go and do school pickup. They might work on a Saturday. If it suits them, they might do evenings, but then on the same time, they might take a Tuesday off because of a rogue inset day or something. And that's just worked really well for me, them and clients, because there is that flexibility there.
What's the thinking behind doing the results oriented approach? Is anything particular? Because I mean, people say that and then sort of move on, but it's be interesting to sort of know the thinking behind that. Why did you decide that that's the way you want to go?
So when I was in my other roles in financial services, it was very much timesheets. Obviously, Smith and Williamson was quite a big beast, and they've been bought out twice since with venture capitalists, and we used to make up to get to the timesheets that we wanted to charge a client, or we used to knock things off if they took longer. So
Yes.
they were never really worth the paper they were written on, I didn't think. And as long as the job's done correctly, accurately, and timely, then I don't think it matters how long it takes, and I don't think it matters. So the client doesn't care if it's taking 5 hours or 5 minutes. They want it done correctly. They've got that trust element within accountants. They want it to be accurate and filed on time for things like Companies House and HMRC submissions. And to be honest, the quicker it's done, the better. Very often, if they need a mortgage or something, they want it turned around yesterday. So the staff step up to the plate when they need to, and having that flexibility means that sometimes they've got to put that shift in on a particular day, but they can go and take the afternoon off if they're a bit quiet and the sun's shining. And that work-life balance is really important to me, so I wanted to pass that on to staff as well.
Yeah, lovely.
I love that. I think it's that's a 21st century approach that's not mired in the historical approach of we need to charge by reference to the time spent, because as you say, clients don't actually care how long it takes. They want the work done. It's what's the work worth to them.
Yes,
There
the
are
value
challenges.
proposition.
Exactly. Yeah, there are challenges when it comes to advice, but as long as you've got the patter right, that you're not paying for the 10 minutes it took, you're paying for the 10 years of training and experience that allowed me to answer your question in 10 minutes.
Exactly.
So yeah, and that's a key, that sort of goes hand in hand with charging for the value that you're delivering. And I think there are challenges to overcome with paying staff by reference to the value of the work as well, because you almost need it to be a proportion of their salary or their hourly or of what they get paid. Otherwise, you're demotivating them from doing anything from the practice side of things, anything that's non-billable. But I think it's a great potential way forward. I love that.
So it's an ongoing development, and we're growing how we try and operate that. But that is a good point with regards to the practice side of things. How do we value that element, because there's no fee? So I'm thinking the percentage on the other work would be eaten up into that additional. So yeah, it's an ongoing thing whirring around in my head, I guess, on an evening on how best to structure it. But yeah, that's a good point I've not actually considered. Yeah.
I always say you get the behaviour that you are seen to measure and to reward, and beware the consequences of the unintended consequences. So you've got to get that balance right. So assuming that you get that right, there must have been mistakes you've made in the past. Are you able to share a couple of them and what you've learned from them to correct them?
Yeah, I mean, taking on any client is probably the number one. Obviously, I was looking to show show my worth to my dad, I guess, and the business. So I would take on clients I probably should never have, and for fees too low as well. So that's the big one.
When you say clients you should never have had, just give us an example, because it's kind of an easy thing to say, isn't it? But what does that mean?
Without naming them.
Without naming them, obviously. Yeah.
I think time drainers are the big ones. You have that initial conversation with them, and you usually have a pretty good idea of the type of client they're going to be from the initial conversation. So one of the things that we introduced fairly quickly when I took over was a schedule call, and that they had to book in at the time that was available to me and that suited them. So it wasn't just a case of them ringing up and saying, how much is a tax return? We had to have a 10-minute, 15-minute conversation, and I'd stick to that rigidly. But initially, I might go and see a client or go and see a prospect, spend an hour with them, send them the quote, and never hear from them again. And I don't waste my time doing that now. Sometimes they're just there picking your brains for free, and then try and do it themselves. The prospect I'm thinking of did exactly that, and I mean their business is no longer running, so you sort of get what you pay for sometimes. But that's definitely a big learner. That 10 minutes now, we've got 10 questions I ask, and it sorts them out pretty quickly whether they're going to be a good fit for us or not. We're a generous practice, so I don't niche, but there's certain types of clients that I don't particularly like dealing with. Partnerships are one of the things we don't tend to deal with, because historically they've only ended in tears when we have dealt with them, whether it's husband and wife or business partners that have a partnership. That we've had a lot of problems historically, so we've stopped dealing with them primarily. And certain other types of industries that we'd rather not deal with due to the nature of the work involved in them. I'm not going to name the industry specifically because we do have some clients still on,
Oh, right.
still on the
Yeah, you're
on the
just
book,
trying to
but,
get rid of them.
yeah, but long term, I mean, we don't take clients on of certain industries now, for that exact reason. And then the other thing is using too many softwares. So everyone will be aware of your QuickBooks and Xero, but we've got clients on other smaller softwares that aren't quite as well known, and we've made a decision to only use 3 softwares for any new clients. They have to go on one of those 3 pieces of software, whichever is most suitable for their nature of their business. And then if they're using something else and they don't want to change, then we're just not the right fit.
I think that is wonderful, and it's a stark contrast to those who insist that all their clients use one specific software. There is no right and wrong, in my view, but I think it does make sense to either go with 1 or 2 or 3, rather than just take on anybody and everybody, regardless of what software they're using, and trying to hoping that you're going to be able to get it all right, and wasting time learning something new.
Yeah, I mean, we've got one member of staff that deals with the big 2 softwares, Xero and QuickBooks, and then we have a lot of clients on another piece of software, and one of my member staff solely deals with that software. So that's how we work. It's their experts on those softwares. A little bit like quite a few accountants are sort of Xero only practices. I guess it works the same for those members of staff, and that allows us to have that expertise on those specific softwares.
I love all that. Thank you very much for sharing all that, Andrew. Philippa, having heard everything that Andrew's been saying, and just before I ask him to share his contact details, what would you say makes his firm, Kings Oak Accountancy, unique and successful?
Well, I think just from what I've heard in the 30 minutes, I kind of, there's a real sense of kind of stability there, and that, as you were saying, Andrew, that there's quite a loyalty. You sort of build up the team gradually. They start on sort of small number of hours and then build up the business. So it's almost like whilst there isn't that partnering system, it does kind of help everybody to feel kind of part of the team, part of the business, and sort of seeing the growth of the business, but also the growth of their own kind of career, if you like. And I think that's really good. And you're obviously a strong advocate of people having control of their lives and control of their career. And you're passing that on as well. It's one thing for the owner to feel like that, and then get everybody else to do the sort of the work underneath, but it's another to actually practice what you preach. And I mean, I think there are a number of accountants that we've spoken to over the last couple of years, who I think genuinely believe in that kind of team and that loyalty. I think one of them was Sam. Can't think of what the name of the business was, but anyway, yeah, there are quite a number of them. So that would be my perspective on it.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And Andrew, how can listeners find out more about you and Kings Oak Accountancy if they want to get in touch, either as clients, business advisors, or other local accountants maybe?
Yeah, so I'm active on Facebook and LinkedIn. Andrew W. Coombs on LinkedIn. Find me, I've come up, putting that W in puts me at the top of the page when searching, and then just type in Kings Oak Accountancy on all well-known search engines, and we'll come up with our contact details on our website.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much for that. And in our bonus interview for Patreon subscribers only, we'll, as we discussed earlier, be asking you to talk about the biggest challenges you're currently facing in the practice, and how you're addressing them, and how you're integrating or resisting AI in your practice as well. We'll record that in a few minutes' time. But before that, Philippa, how can listeners find out more about you and your business, Insight 101?
So you can find me on LinkedIn or on my website, insight101.co.uk. And I support accountants and bookkeepers to stand out. And that generally starts with their website, making sure that it's really telling their story and what makes them unique. So if you're thinking that you need to work on that, then please get in touch. Now, Mark, how can listeners get in touch with you?
Well, online everywhere. I'm Bookmark Lee. And one thing that I've learned after years of working with accountants is that running your own practice can feel lonely, even when things look fine on the surface. And if you'd like things to feel clearer, smoother, or more rewarding, that's where I come in. Whether you're after better clients, fewer frustrations, more profit on your terms, or you just want a sounding board for decisions that you're facing in your practice, opportunities or challenges, I'm always happy to have a chat. No pressure, no pitch. Sometimes one conversation's enough. Other times it leads to working together more regularly on a mentoring basis or joining my sole practice club. Either way, the first step is easy. Just reach out. And do please reach out and connect with both Philippa and me on LinkedIn, and follow the podcast pages on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on Patreon.
Yep, so that's all we have today. Can't speak. That's all we have time for today on the main podcast. Thank you very much, Andrew, for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks to our sponsors, Pinnacle Global Group, your trusted outsourcing partner. Do check out their website and let their CEO, Mayank, know that you heard about Pinnacle Global on the Accountant Success Secrets podcast.
And thanks to the Tax Advice Network, the easiest way for accountants to reach specialist tax advisors. Remember, there's no charge for using the website findataxadvisor.online, where you can also access the weekly tax tips written especially for general practitioner accountants. And Philippa, I just checked up. Was it Sam Gooding you were talking about before?
Yes, thank you. Yes, he was.
Podcast episode 55.
Yeah, and if you haven't listened to that one, Andrew, I suggest you do, because he had so many insights around how he sort of builds loyalty within the team. He was wonderful as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you've enjoyed this episode, please share the love online, subscribe and leave a review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or even just let us have your feedback directly too. It all helps to broaden the reach of the podcast. Do please contact either Mark or myself if you'd like to be interviewed on a future podcast as well.
Yeah, in December or later. Thanks so much, Philippa, especially for doing this on your birthday. And thanks again to Andrew, your wonderful, wonderful guest. And we'll follow up. We'll continue the conversation in a moment. Next week, our interview guest will be Aaron Meha, who runs Samira, which is a rather niche chartered accountancy practice in Esher in North Surrey. Before then, we're going to get some further insights from Andrew on our Patreon subscribers. So please head over to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com, Accountants Success Secret. It's singular. Don't ask. That's where you'll hear about the biggest challenges that Andrew's currently facing and his approach to them, and how he's integrating or resisting AI in his practice too. Otherwise, until next week, or anywhere else we might meet online or in real life, bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.